Hey guys, I just wanted to show you today some goals that I would have in mind for you or anybody that is struggling working tarps with their horses. And by that, ultimately I want my horse to be okay with anything and everything that might come their way. Maybe walking down a trail, maybe you're at a new facility, new barn, there's new objects. So I use tarps and other objects a lot to work my horse through some of these things they're nervous of. I want them to feel relaxed, safe, comfortable, and this is ultimately your goal with working tarps. This is what I want you to look for at the end. I want you to look for relaxation in your horse, how they look. Are they relaxed? Eyes slow blinking, yawning. He's already giving us that. He probably knows what's coming. So Wyatt here, he's what he'd call himself is probably a tarp expert. He's been doing this a while. I've had him since he was 6 months old. So I've been working on it a while, but we've worked through some issues. He's been nervous before of these things and other objects. So now you'll probably notice he's a little more playful with them. He wants to chew on them. But these are some goals to keep in mind. What I do with my clients a lot is show them a goal so that they can picture that and keep that in their mind. And then I talk to them and work them through what problems their horses are having with tarps or other objects. So with Wyatt, I'm not going to go through what I would do with other horses. I'm just going to simply show you all the fun things that he can do with tarps or that I would want some of my clients to work through. So I act like it's nonchalant, matter of fact, just get my tarp out. He's about to fall asleep because that's just his nature anyways. He also wants to play with them. So looking at, the way that they want to play with, maybe they'll help you desensitize themselves a little bit, but looking at them playing with it, ears, head relaxed, eyes slow blinking are all signs you want to look for when you're working them through any object, but in this case tarps. So I'm going to take this and I might get his attention here. He wants to play with everything, and we'll ground tie and just cover him with the tarp. He's going to get distracted and play with this tarp, so I'll pull him just for the moment. I'm going to pull him away from this tarp that he wants to play with. That's actually a good example of why I want them comfortable with all objects. If something gets stuck to their hoof, it could be a net, a rope, plastic bag, tarp. In that case, if it gets stuck or if they get kind of wrapped up in it, I want them to calm down and be comfortable. Obviously, ideally I'd be there. I wouldn't try to put them in any other situation otherwise to get them out of it. But if a horse overreacts, they can hurt themselves, hurt you. So I want to work through these things to get to that ultimate goal of safety. So I'm going to try ground tying again. And we're just going to cover him. I'm going to come up to his face, his ears, get his attention again, make all kinds of noise. You can pull it off really fast, let it fall to the ground, let him stand ground tied, so we're not actually tying our horses when we do this, just ground tying, if they will. Flap it all around, always do the other side, and just act like it's no big deal. If you act like it's no big deal, oftentimes your horses will act like it's no big deal. And he clearly does not care. And then you can also take it and pull it off. That made him just a little bit nervous. I haven't done that much with him, but he didn't overreact. He just lifted his head. So just do all kinds of things. I'm gonna get him away from this tarp because he just can't help himself. Then I like to also take it, go between legs, right there. He felt the rope. That was my fault, but again, just another way of desensitizing. He felt the rope, so he thought he needed to back up. And I wouldn't recommend doing this if your horse is not safe with their legs. Obviously, these are goals. This is something I want you to work up to, not just go and try. So I know he's comfortable with it. He's not going to kick or do anything crazy because he's all right. Throw it up here. I'm gonna go between his back legs, pull it around. Same back leg. He's a little irritated. That's his nature. He tends to kind of say, you know, I don't mind this, but I don't really care for it. So you'll notice him throw his head every now and then. That's more out of his personality than anything. And also, once, of course, you work up to this, but just going behind or under their tail in case something gets stuck. You know, you want to make sure they're comfortable with everything. Like right there, that was him kind of saying, I don't really like this. You're irritating me. I don't care, in a sense. That's okay that he told me. I don't want him to escalate that. Again, that's his personality of just, hey, leave me alone. I'm just standing here relaxing. But he's not worried about anything I'm doing. Also, you know, be aware of your horse's body language. Their ears, their eyes, are they blinking? Is their head up and really tight? Are they tight? Are they breathing calm, slow, relaxed? Is their head down? Like he's just very relaxed. You can, if you see his eye slow blinking, about to fall asleep, his ears are moving a little bit. Some horses, the longer I do this with him, the lower his head wants to go. So I'm just going to show you, for example, that's a very relaxed horse. He probably wants to lay down. I've taught my horse to lay down. So when he puts his head down and starts pawing, he's thinking very, very relaxed thoughts because he's thinking, I think I'm going to lay down. I feel comfortable and safe enough to relax this much. So this is actually kind of what I was referring to a moment ago. Eyes almost closed, very relaxed, head low, etc. Some other goals with Tarp, so you can rub it all over them, go between their legs, go over their head, rub it on their face. He doesn't care. Some horses that would care, I'm going to do it for him, would bring his head up. Oh, bring their head up, I'm sorry. He could really care less. Again, I've done this with him. Some other goals are going to be sending them over the tarp. So you can send them over the tarp. It can be flat. Or you can bunch it up and send them over a tarp that's bunched up, like he's about to do. This is why my tarp has holes in it, which isn't a bad thing. Buy a tarp that you don't care about. But I'm going to send him across. So just like lunging all the way across, you can do a sending exercise where you're just back and forth. You can ask them to trot, and they should trot across. He kind of avoided it there. Now he's not, in my opinion, he's not avoiding it because he's nervous. I think he just had a little too much rope there and he was able to avoid it. Just stop him, send him back across. Good. Oh. All right, and then I have somewhat of a sassy little horse right now, so I'm gonna ask him to canter. So it might not be pretty. I'm gonna ask him to canter. There we go. Good boy. There. Canter across, stop. So those are some on the ground, tarp on the ground goals. You can also bunch it up. This is going to be a little more advanced because it tends to get maybe just wrapped around their hoof. Not wrapped in the sense that it's dangerous because they'll walk out of it, but they might drag it a little bit. So I'm going to walk him across. That was fine. Good. That time. So no dragging this time. That's good. Good boy. And then you can also walk them across with you. safely. Again, this is a goal. This is your end goal. I would not walk a horse across a tarp like that with them following me if they're scared, because I don't want it to get caught, and I don't want to have an issue where they decide the better option is to run me over. Good. Just like that. That's what I was talking about. Good boy. If they walk out of it and they're calm about it, they get a release, of course. Then flapping. Getting the ground tie. Good boy. And then one of the other things I like to do most often is have them follow it. So if they're really nervous, you can ask your horse to follow the tarp, and I'll try to stay in this area, but if he follows it, I kind of make it a game where if he steps on it, he gets a release. Good boy. And then you have to get your horse off of it if they're really good at this. I'm going to back them up. Good. One more time. Drag it. Ask him to follow it. And step on it. So that gives him a release ultimately when he catches the tarp and plays with it. All right. So one of the last things I'll do, this isn't always my goal for everyone, but it's a fun thing to kind of add into your training. I taught Wyatt a while ago to lay down, so I have not done this in a while, but I'm going to ask him to lay down on the tarp. Probably going to paw it all up. And we're working on not rolling. Good boy. Good. So he likes, as soon as he lays down, he likes to roll. So I've been working with him on relaxing and not just rolling and getting right up. He's comfortable enough to lay down and roll, but I think he finds it more fun to roll, get up. So I'm teaching him to lay down. That's why you saw me pulling on his face, adding pressure until he stopped, and taking a nap. Good boy. He's done. He's done. That's a good boy. Take a nap in the sun. I know. All right, so I'm going to ask him to get up now. Nope. Just because I get up doesn't mean you get up. Good boy. You see his teeth. You're funny. Okay. Good boy. Go ahead and get up. Nice. That's all right. Good boy. So I wanted to really quick show, in comparison to my horse, just another horse that may or may not be reactive to this. I haven't done this with him, so just going to kind of run kind of quick through everything. Unless he has an issue, then I'm going to stop and address that. So one of the first things I did, introducing, again, these are goal videos. If I were to introduce a horse to a tarp, I'd have it more wrapped up or folded so I can control the scary object right now. So right now I can control it, introduce it to him. He doesn't seem to mind very much. Rub it on him in a controlled fashion to start. A little reactivity, not reactivity in the sense that he's running away scared, but head up. So I might, because he's still being calm about it, I might just ask for his head to come down. And then he's going to play with that tarp. Rubbing it on him. There you have it. He doesn't mind too much. Obviously, he minds a couple things so far. I'm going to come on this side. Again, just going through this quick. You going to lay down too? Good boy. All right, then I'm going to open it up. Very matter of fact. No problems. A little reactive, kind of wants to move his head away, but not running away, not scared. So this might be a good comparison to a horse that's just about there in my terms of being very comfortable with the tarp. He just has a couple of little problems with it. He's not all that 100% sure. So we're going to wear it. I'm going to ask him to stand still. You going to pull it off? Good boy. Ask him to wear that. And I do want to keep in mind, if I were working with a tarp with a horse that was more nervous than he was, I would not have a tarp on the ground. I'd try to control my scenario as much as I can. All right, little too playful. Again, not a bad thing, just we're trying to work on something. He just wants to play. I'm gonna pull that off. He doesn't mind that. Through the leg. So ultimately, he's pretty much okay with it. He doesn't mind the flapping. When he looks at it, he didn't really react, but he lifted his head. When he looked at it, I stopped. Now he wants to chew on it. Again, I don't mind this type of playfulness as long as they're comfortable with it. Now, if I have a job to do, of course I'm not going to let them play, but if they're nervous and they offer to play, I will let them do that for a little while. When I'm ready for them to stop playing and, hey, let me finish what I need to do, then I will ask them to maybe back up or do something that is not playful-wise, and get the job done. So I did want to make a note. This horse and my horse that you saw earlier, they are half-brothers. They tend to have that personality a little bit more so to be more on the relaxed side, a little bit more playful, so not quite so nervous as, in example, the Mustangs that I worked with in the previous videos. You can go back and watch. They're going to be a little bit more nervous and not quite so willing, or might not enjoy playing with these things yet. And they might not ever, but I still want them comfortable with anything that can be presented to them, whether I'm present or not. Oftentimes I'll be present, but like I referred to earlier, if I'm at a new facility or somebody around this facility is covering something with a tarp, doing something with equipment, I want them to feel comfortable and safe. Good boy. I'm somewhat allowing him to do this because I feel like he's relaxed enough that he might lay down. So that is just as a kind of a precursor, if you will. That's the only reason I'm letting him kind of play and scratch around and walk around. Normally I wouldn't let my horses walk around with me, but he is really relaxed and I'm thinking he's about to lay down. So when my horse, again, when they offer something to me, I will take it. If it's a good thing, of course. But in this case, I love a relaxed horse. I love a horse that will lay down. He has not been taught to lay down, but he feels comfortable enough to do so that I believe we're going to get one. Looking for a lay down here. He's so relaxed. He doesn't care about anything. Good boy. Roll. I love a relaxed horse. We'll see if he stays down, but clearly the tarp doesn't bother him too much. He's going to roll on it. And I'm just here kind of babysitting the rope. He's going to choose. Maybe. That's all right. Again, unlike my horse, I asked my horse to lay down. He offered it to me because he's so relaxed. And that's that's what I want to see. So I just wanted to show you guys a few more things. First part of our video with the Tarp Goals was on the ground. This is going to be under saddle. Some goals, I have the tarp here, I have a flag and plastic bags. Just going to run through real quick some goals with some often scary objects that horses tend to be nervous with. So one of the first things I showed you on the ground was rubbing the tarp, so I'll do that in a moment, but I'm going to walk across this tarp. So just like on the ground, sending your horse over, we're going to do walk, trot, canter over the tarp. And what I'm looking for, you know, is head low, comfortable. Some horses might be a little nervous and they might want to stop before they get to the tarp. Again, this is, I've worked with him, so this is the goal of walk, trot over the tarp with him feeling nice and comfortable, and even stopping on the tarp. And you could even, once they're really comfortable with it, you can back. And the reason I said that is once they're really comfortable, because sometimes the tarp will slide with them when they back. So be sure that it is, that your horse is nice and relaxed, comfortable with that. So I'm going to come over and grab this tarp. And one exercise I like to do with this tarp is pulling it off of the fence line. That can sometimes spook a horse when it's, you know, something's on the fence and you pull it off towards them. Sometimes they get a little bit nervous, so that's something, once they're a little further along with their, with them being comfortable with the tarp, we can start practicing these things on the ground even, and then transfer it to the saddle. So pulling it off, laying it over him, flapping it around, coming back behind me, letting it drag, turn a little bit, letting it drag over his hindquarters, on the ground, flapping. Above his head, just making him very comfortable, or checking how comfortable he is, rather. Good boy. Go over his head a little bit. There we go. And then riding around with the tarp. So if it's big enough, you can let it drag. You're going to ride, kind of let it fly behind him. It's good. Sometimes a horse will get nervous with that noise behind them of the tarp dragging on the ground. So that's something you can also work on from the ground. Laying it on your horse, or even hooking it over the saddle horn, maybe not tying it, but hooking it and asking him to walk around, your horse to walk around with it dragging while you are still on the ground. You can do so many things with the tarp. One of the last things I like to do, I'll take maybe a long rope or a lariat. You can take it, tighten this around the tarp like so. And again, all of these things are things that I would prep for on the ground if you know your horse is nervous. But again, this is goals. So you can take this, drag it behind, like so. Good boy. Drag it behind. I want to make sure my horse is also comfortable with ropes, the feeling of a rope on them, on their legs, because some horses will spook at that rope touching them behind their back legs, front legs, etc. Change directions really quick. Drag the tarp this way. Again, the rope is touching his legs. He's comfortable with that because we've worked through it. And then the other thing I like to play with is, again, pay no attention to my rope skills, is asking him to back, my horse to back, and having the tarp come towards him. You can tell he perked his ears up a little. He was a little maybe unsure, but he's not scared. And ask him to stop backing and have the tarp come towards me. Let him check it out. He doesn't really care, but I could tell since he perked his ears up, that's something to keep in mind. If your horse shows you like, hey, I'm not sure, I usually will stop, slow down, let them become sure, and then proceed. So you can also play with the tarp on the fence line. Again, these are just some fun extras that you can do once your horse is super comfortable. I like to test my horses. I like to see what they can do and what they can handle, what they can tolerate rather, safely. So again, I want them comfortable with all the crazy things that I might ever do with them. So in this case, we did this for the first time last week, but we went under. And it's a little messy there, but we'll ride under the tarp. There we go. Good boy. Good boy. Ride under it, through it, around it, or you could have somebody hold the other side of it so it's up above you. It's not rubbing on them or in their face, like so. Good. So you can also have somebody hold the tarp like that. So you'll still have to kind of go under it and tint the middle, but that's another good way to kind of start the process of going under, like that. Good boy. And if you can tell by his just relaxed demeanor, he doesn't care. His head's low. He's relaxed. We've done this. He actually enjoys these things more than certain other things, I'm sure, because it's fun. So besides tarps, there's always other objects you can find that, you know, across or through the horse world, you hear horses are afraid of silly things like plastic bags. They don't know, you know, what they are or what they mean. The noise can spook them. It can be just a weird, you know, a weird noise that's just not something they've instinctually heard or known. It's not an animal, it's just a weird flappy noise. So doing this on the ground first, I'd recommend, but flapping it around, he wants to look at it, that's good. Rubbing it on him. And you can even, you know, put a few plastic bags together like this and kind of let it drag or flap in the wind. Whatever you want to do, you can make it, you know, just as scary as you'd like, scary, you know, to a point, or just as fun and cool and different. You know, if you have all kinds of things you can use. So this is just another example. One of the other things I find that horses are a little nervous of, and it depends on your groundwork, but some people, or some horses, I'm sorry, are afraid of the flag. Some horses are worked on the ground. Other trainers might use this flag on the ground for groundwork. The horse learns not to be afraid of it, but some do tend to be if you haven't done it that way. But this is one you can even get a big flag, ride around with the big flag if you haven't ever done that before. Let it flap around, flap in the wind. Make all kinds of noises with it. Oh, good boy. Let him check it out. He doesn't really care about it, but let him check it out. Right there, he didn't like that very much. Ask him. There we go. Good boy. Rub it on his butt. So, good. So these are just a few things, a few of many things you can use to desensitize your horse. This is how I'd want my horse to act or react to these things. He's not what I've heard been called a deadhead. He's not standing here tolerating it. He is active, looking around, relaxed, and okay with everything we're doing. So those are the goals or things to keep in mind when you work your horses with tarps and other objects.